In the news now, there's a very concerning article that came out after the court case of Mr. Xhosa that got killed by the SANDF Defence Force members just for sitting with a bottle of alcohol next to his chair. They actually entered his property and physically attacked him. Obviously, there was some resistance and altercation. We know that they entered the house, opened his fridge as well. But what happened was that he ended up dying because of his injuries. And this is what the court found. Remember that soldiers of the SANDF are not subject to court cases. And they're not subject to normal national court of law. They actually are subject to the SANDF and their inquiries. And the headline reads, SANDF probe clears soldiers of killing Collins Xhosa, saying he was only pushed and clapped. Now, we know that he died from blunt head trauma, which tells me that he was either hit against the head, slapped against the head, or something that could cause injury later on, and obviously can cause death. And it doesn't have to happen immediately. They said when they left that he was conscious, but he, as we know, he later lost consciousness, and Judge Fabricius actually vehemently went out against their action and gave a scathing court judgment afterwards. But our defense force has decided that they are above the law, because they actually are. And that is why it's very dangerous to allow the SANDF loose on the public. And it's not even a state of emergency, it's only a state of disaster. The article reads, a South African National Defence Force inquiry has found soldiers who are accused of killing Alexandria resident Collins Xhosa cannot be held liable for this death, as there is no link between the injuries he sustained due to their actions and him dying. Now, who was in that inquiry to have the knowledge to actually make such a statement? The findings of the inquiry are attached to an explanatory affidavit filed with the Gauteng High Court in Pretoria by the SANDF legal advisor Elvis Hobiana on Tuesday. The affidavit was filed to update the court on what steps had been taken to adhere to Judge Hans Fabricius's orders after he ruled in favor of the Xhosa family earlier this month. Remember, he said that they have to come back to the court and say what actions they were going to take as the SANDF to stop this from ever happening again. Their answer to the court is, sorry, we found that the soldiers didn't kill him. That was their answer to him. This is absolutely unbelievable. Xhosa and Tabiso Mavunga, his brother-in-law, got into an altercation with SANDF and Johannesburg Metro Police officers at his Alexandria house on Good Friday. The inquiry, which did not interview Xhosa's relatives, relying only on their statements to the police, noted one of the soldiers entered the yard after seeing a glass of alcohol. This was when an argument ensued. The probe claimed the pair was undermining the two female soldiers. Remember, this story being told now is the South African National Defence Forces probe. This is the soldiers' side of the story, okay? So it claims that the pair was undermining the two female soldiers. Now, I would also, if you enter my yard and you have no right to be there, provocative. The attitude of these two men was provocative. But it's not provocative for the SANDF to enter your yard, your own private property, the report noted. This is absolutely insane. Imagine the SANDF just walks into your yard and starts slapping you around because you want them out of the yard, and you are showing an attitude towards them because they've illegally entered your property. The investigation noted the force used to get the men to comply with the officers. These are the terms they're using. Instructions was pushing and clapping. Now, what are you getting pushed against, and what are you being clapped by? The board, led by Brigadier Viscount Nkobo, further found Xhosa was conscious and healthy when the security forces left. This guy's not a doctor. Who on earth is he to actually make a finding like this? This is absolutely ridiculous. The people in the country should be up in arms, take to the streets because of what is happening here. It said none of the witnesses mentioned the vomiting of Mr. Xhosa, contrary to other accounts of what transpired. The board added it had consulted a neurologist, one Professor M. Baker, who raised concerns about the level of pathologist assigned to deal with such a sensitive case and pointed out some shortcomings and contradictions in the report. It did not say what these shortcomings and contradictions were. A detailed list of all the witnesses approached for testimony was not attached to Hobjana's affidavit. They saying death cannot be linked to the injuries. While the board noted Xhosa had a small cut above the left eye and a scratch on the left leg under the knee, and his cause of death was a blunt force head injury, the injuries on his body cannot be linked with the cause of death. If they clapped him against his head, how on earth can they say that they know it was a blunt force head injury, that wasn't the cause? I mean, you often, if you get hit by blunt force, you actually start developing symptoms later. You could have bleeding later, and then vomiting does ensue. I mean, in my level 3 trauma first aid course that I did, these were all signs and symptoms of someone with blunt head trauma, especially in car accidents if you've hit the windscreen and things like that. It therefore concluded the death of Mr. Xhosa was not caused by the SANDF members or the JMPD. Just like that. The inquiry also took exception with the police action after Xhosa died, noting the move to open a murder docket was unacceptable. People, this should be extremely worrying to all of you. Any citizen of this country that believes in rights of freedom should be shocked at what the SANDF is finding in this inquiry. This should send alarm bells flying throughout the country, and people need to mobilize against this, speaking out against this, telling your friends and family about this, and please subscribe to my channel and click on the bell icon so that you can receive notifications for updates on the posts. And please share with your family. It's very important that these stories are shared. The police investigation into Xhosa's death continue, and the soldiers implicated have been ordered not to report for duty until the criminal probe has been concluded. So at least that's still on the go, and I'm really glad that it is. But for the SANDF to say that the police is ridiculous to open a murder probe against the SANDF soldiers is disingenuous. In court papers filed last month, Xhosa's family claimed officers and soldiers held his hands behind his back while he was choked and beaten. This is what the witnesses said. I saw the actual video of the attack, and I can attest to this. They also claimed he was pushed up against the wall and hit with the butt of a machine gun. In his judgment, Fabricius was scathing of the SANDF and police's use of excessive force during the lockdown, ordering the security bosses to instruct soldiers and officers to act in accordance with the Constitution, something they clearly cannot comprehend. Please, people, share this video. This is extremely serious. A judge has said that someone was killed. He cannot sentence the SANDF soldiers. It's not possible because they are soldiers and subject to different laws. These people are let loose amongst us, and a High Court judge can't do anything to them. They go into an inquiry and they are found that they didn't kill this person, not by a doctor or someone that knows what he's doing, someone that was appointed to perform the inquiry. We should all be extremely worried by this outcome within this SANDF inquiry. Tell everyone about this, please.